Good evening and welcome to Tuesday night, Mate to Mate at 8. My name's Craig Turton, your host each and every week. It's an absolute pleasure to be here again on Tuesday night. As I said, I'm a proud co-founder of 100 Words Mate to Mate. I'm also on the board at 100 Words Mate to Mate. We are a men's health foundation raising awareness about men's health and trying to reduce the stigma around it and trying to create places for men to go to feel really, really comfortable and open up and have open and honest conversations. Now, what we started, one of the campaigns we started at 100 Words Mate to Mate about 10 weeks ago was a campaign called Mate to Mate at 8. Now, the whole preface behind that is this: to ring a mate at either 8 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock at night and ask him this: "G'day, mate, how's your day been out of 10? He will tell you a number and then he will ask you how your day is. And by that, you've got a much greater idea on how your mate is going. Now, when you log on tonight, tell us how your day's been out of 10, okay? And we'll have a look at those poll results later on. Now, throughout tonight, all we are trying to do is mirror a conversation between two mates. Okay, that's all we are trying to do. I, myself, am not a doctor or a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Okay, I'm in fact a painter, but all I'm trying to do here is show you how easy it is to ask your mates how their day is out of 10 and get a lot more information out of them than just saying this: "G'day, how you going?" It's not enough, okay? We've got to ask each other how our day is out of 10. Now, we've got a couple of guys that have logged on and who are having a 5. Now, those blokes who are watching who are having a 5 out of 10, hopefully by the information you get out of tonight's guest and talking with us and listening, your day will increase. And I really hope that's the case. Now, if at any stage tonight, any of the conversation gets a little bit too deep or a bit gets you into a situation where you're feeling uncomfortable, there is always a number to ring. And that number is this: 131114. That number is Lifeline. There was always someone there to pick up on the other end of the phone. Hopefully you won't need it, but if you do, that number is always available. Now, tonight we are extremely lucky to talk to a mate of mine now. I only met him about a year ago, I reckon, at a foundation event for Tomorrow Man. He's also a mate of mine's, Matt Walton, who is on our board at 100 Words. He's a great man, doing some great things in the Geelong area. Okay, he's been through a hell of a lot in his life, and he's going to tell us a bit about that tonight and what he has turned around and done. He's now the founder of an unbelievable men's health foundation called Right Mate. They're doing fantastic things, particularly in the Geelong region, and he is an absolute star. It is my absolute pleasure tonight to welcome Chris Lytas. Chris, how are you today, my friend?
I'm about an 8 out of 10, Turt. What about yourself?
Out of day? Yeah, me, mate. I'm probably a 5 early on this morning until about lunchtime, and then I took some advice out of the show we did a couple of weeks ago with Nathan Burke, and I sat and I went, you know what? The rest of the day is not going to be a 5. So I reset, and I ended up having about an 8 in the second half of today. So I've done well.
Nice one, mate. Good to hear.
Now, mate, thank you so much for joining us tonight. As I said, we met at Tomorrow Man event in Richmond there probably about a year ago. We bumped into each other, started talking, and then a mutual friend of ours, who I came with, of all things, walked up and said, "Oh, you two know each other?" And went, "No, we just started talking." And that mate of ours is Matt Walton, as I said, a great man and a good friend of both of ours. And we got talking some more, mate. And as I said, you're doing some great things as the founder of Right Mate. Awesome foundation, doing some amazing things, as I said, particularly in the Geelong region. Now, mate, more so about you. How did you get to being the founder of a men's health organisation? I'm tipping you weren't that at one stage. How did you get there, mate?
Right. Geez. All right. I'm just going to correct your terms very quickly. Co-founder. I've got a very good mate of mine, Luke Outerbridge, who is the other half of the trust. So make sure we give Luke a good shout out as well.
Sorry, mate.
Look, mate, for me, this is probably something that started back in 2016, I think, and then came to fruition just short of a year ago now, I think. So I'm 40, about to turn 46 in a couple of weeks. Yeah, a couple of weeks. There you go. It just doesn't sound right. I have probably struggled and dealt with various levels of anxiety and depression for more years than I care to remember, and still do to this day. Back in 2016, a mate of mine took his life. I spoke to him in 2 days beforehand. It was one of those mates that, you don't chat to every week, but sort of whenever you do sort of catch up, you just pick up where you left off. And it was one of those conversations where, it was, what have you been up to? Everything's going all right, pretty sweet. We had plans to catch up that weekend, and then I got a phone call 2 days later saying that he was dead. That was which was pretty interesting, to say the least. I was in the midst of changing jobs at that point as well. So I did what I knew best back then, and that was to just throw myself into this new job. So, did the funeral, did all that stuff, thought I'd grieved and whatnot, and just got on with life. That turns out wasn't the best idea that I've had in my life, and got myself to a point where 3 months later, I had got all our affairs in order, had made a plan, had a time, had a place, had a date, and was basically going to go through what would have been my third attempt in 40 odd years, but clearly didn't, and that's in no short thanks to my amazing wife, who took that massive step and realised something was going on with her husband, and one night on the couch, literally probably a couple of days beforehand, asked me what the F was going on. But I don't even think she was ready for the response that came out of my mouth. So just that was my trigger to then unload, and so I did. Next day, GP, mental health plan, best bloody thing I've ever done in my life, was jump on that. And that then, after sort of a couple of psych sessions, I sort of, I don't want to call it an epiphany, but sat down one day and just went, you know what, I've been given an opportunity to either sort of go left or go right. If I choose to go left, it's probably not going to be the best path that I could do. But if I choose to go right, maybe I can make a difference. So let's give it a crack.
Mate, you told me that a year ago, but hearing it again is it's massive. What was it that your beautiful wife Jo, was it a gut feel? Was it something you said? Was it a behavioural thing? Because if she hadn't have asked, mate, let's be honest, if she hadn't have asked and persisted, we wouldn't be doing this interview.
No, 100%. I can absolutely guarantee you we would not be having this conversation. Apparently I'm really shit at masking my my behaviours. So she realised that I wasn't my normal self. I look back now and I could see my behaviours changing. I was throwing myself into work. My fuse was very short. I was socially removing myself. Even with mates like Matt and the boys, it was, there was always excuses as to why I couldn't catch up and why I couldn't make things and whatnot. And that was just my way of, I suppose, regressing from society and sort of separating myself. The conversations we were having at home were very bland. And she really wasn't getting a lot out of me. So I think in her mind, and she still can't explain what sort of got her to that point to ask, she just felt that it's something she had to do. And I'm glad she did.
Mate, so am I. So am I. I know all your mates are as well. Yeah. And it's, how important do you think it would have been? Like, you know, you would have seen your mates and they would have gone, "Oh, how you going, Chris? Yeah, good. How are you? Yeah, good."
Yeah.
If they had have said, "Hey, Chris, how's your day out of 10?" How do you reckon you would have answered? Do you reckon you would have answered it honestly? Or giving you an opportunity to answer it honestly?
Look, I think yes, and I say yes because 3 or 4 months later, we're at a beer festival of all things here in Geelong, and the boys asked how things were, and that was the first time that they heard this basically, and it was just a simple, you know, how things going. So I think, you know, in retrospect, if they had, you know, if there was an opportunity for them to ask, and I didn't allow that opportunity to happen because I just refused to connect with anybody over those sort of 3 months. But I think if the opportunity was there and they asked, then yeah, I think I would have just absolutely spilled my guts.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. I've heard this a couple of times from guys who have been in your situation, that if given the opportunity to give that information, if the question's asked in the right way, the information is literally sitting there on the tip of your tongue. It will be given if the question is structured the right ways. Would that be fair?
Yeah, totally. Yes. I'm a huge believer that nobody actually wants to commit suicide, right? No one voluntarily wants to kill themselves, but you get yourself into a mindset where you feel that it is the only way out, and you will in your own way. And I know I probably did, looking back at it, you know, put out your own little tests to see whether people are responding. And the more people don't respond to it, the more it validates that thought in your head, and it becomes stronger and stronger, and the noise becomes louder and louder.
The feeling of not being worthy.
Yeah, and just the sheer just the sheer, for me, it's I call it the noise in my head. Just that sheer noise, you just want it to stop and go away.
Yeah. Now, mate, about a year after that,
Yep.
You started running, and you ended up running a marathon in New York.
Yeah. Yep.
Talk us through that.
Yep. So I was very fortunate through my employer at the time, who were amazing sort of through those months, to be given an opportunity to run the New York Marathon as part of Team Beyond Blue in 2017. So it was a really good opportunity, to have something to focus on, get back into running. I did my first marathon, I think, 3 years earlier, and then sort of to just run for shits and giggles in between then. And then this opportunity came up to sort of go, okay, well, shit, I can run one of the most iconic races in the world in an amazing city. But then also suddenly I've been given this platform to go and spruik the benefits of positive mental health and community engagement. So I jumped at the opportunity to do it. We had, I think, 9 months or so, and I went hard. I got, you know, full run analysis and full running program and strength and conditioning coaches and the whole kit and caboodle. But then from a Beyond Blue perspective, you know, they were really engaging with us and sort of, you know, encouraging us to sort of get out and do what we could to raise some funds for them. But they gave us a target of 10, and I think I ended up just under 20 in 9 months.
Wow, that's massive.
Yeah, it was. I made a decision very early on. I didn't want to do the whole sausage sizzle and bake sale and whatnot. I wanted to do stuff that engaged community. So I started with a very simple event at my local cafe that I go to every morning before work, and you know, it was literally they decided on a Saturday, so one of their busiest trade days, that they were going to donate the sales of every single hot drink to my fundraising efforts. And
how cool is that?
Yeah, it was pretty bloody amazing. You know, and I sat in this cafe from 8 till about 4, I reckon, talking to I couldn't tell you how many people, and we raised $1,000 in a day, which I thought was pretty bloody amazing. And then, you know, from there, that then presented other opportunities throughout sort of the Geelong community to sort of get out and talk to people and do additional fundraising. And then we ended up doing a big event. There's a venue here called the Piano Bar, who are it's just run by the most amazing people. And so we booked the place out on a Saturday afternoon. We had, I think, just under 250 people in there. And it's one of those old school sort of cabaret venues where the guy's on the piano and takes requests, and, you know, everyone in that room had a story to tell. And we raised, I think, just on $6,500 in 4 and a bit hours on there. And, you know, it was amazing the whole 9 months. My running top that I wore, Beyond Blue sent me a second one because I wanted names put on the back of my top. So one of the fundraising ventures we did was, you know, people could pay an amount to have the name of either themselves, someone they knew, someone they've lost on the back of my running top, and they would virtually run the 42.1 with me. And it was pretty amazing because I made it my mission to know every single story on the back of that top. So, you know, when I hit that proverbial wall or found training tough or found the actual run itself, and there were points in that run where I just wanted to stop, it was like, you know what, it was a reflection back mentally to those names on the back of my top. And, you know, that's what got me through it.
Wow, mate. I mean, essentially carrying the lives and thoughts of so many people on your back, literally on your back.
Yeah.
I can imagine when you hit that wall and things were really shit and really hard, it wouldn't have been too much of a stretch to go, okay, pick one of those names and just think about that person for the next kilometre or so, and just to get you through. Pretty
much, mate. You know, the cross section of people that were on there. You know, the youngest I had there wasn't. Oh, he was at the time 8, and it's a good mate of mine's. You know, young boy, and he's just the most beautiful young boy you could possibly meet. You know, and he still is to this day. But he, you know, has gone through some pretty hard stuff in his life. So, you know, to have him as sort of my youngest to my oldest was, I think, you know, 80-year-old person that had sort of, you know, battled with demons all their life, and then everything in between was, you know, it was easy to draw inspiration from them, right? I have a theory. And, you know, anywhere that I talk or anywhere that I present, you know, people sort of come up and go, oh, you know, it's so brave for you to talk about this. And it's like, you know what, talking about this isn't brave. You know, we should be able to have these conversations, and they should be a normal part of our society, right? What's brave is the person that has got severe depression, bipolar, anxiety, or any mental health condition that every day makes that active choice to get up and live, right? That's fucking bravery, right?
Absolutely.
Me talking to you for half an hour, it's bloody awesome, but it's not brave.
Yeah.
Right?
No, you're right. Look, but I can see why people who look at someone like yourself, and I'm in awe. And we've had a few guys who have come on the show and told a story similar to yours, and it's just so inspiring to hear people who have just gone through shit like you have, and then to pull yourselves through, and what you guys have all done to pull yourselves through. But the one thing that is almost like a stock standard response is getting a routine. And obviously the training that you would have needed to do to run the marathon would have been a big part of routine and getting back to some sort of normality.
Yeah, it was. Like, yeah, 100%, you know, like training for a marathon, you can't just sort of turn up and sort of do it, you know. Well, some people do, but, you know, they're just freaks. But, you know, you have to get that discipline in, and, you know, you've got a structured program that, you know, ideally you want to be able to do if you want to do it properly, you know, or give yourself the best opportunity to do it to the best of your ability. And that then translates into broader life, right? You know, you get yourself, you know, and it was a good 9 months worth of solid training to get to that point, you know, in New York. And then after that, you don't want to lose that because it sort of kept you going, but you just then need to adapt it into something else. And then, from there, that's where, I suppose the early iterations of, okay, well, what else can we do in the community sort of came about.
So that's how important has your routine been since COVID hit? How important has your routine been throughout that?
Yeah, huge. So, I was, as have many people across the country, I was stood down from my main job. Early April, I think, I finally got stood down. And, it's going to be a long time before I go back. I work in sort of aviation. So, we're pretty well screwed. No one's flying anywhere at the moment. So, to try and then keep some sort of routine whilst not working, the first couple of weeks were awesome. It was like, hey, on a holiday, I'll do these courses, like everyone was doing, hashtag better yourself, right? Do something that's, and whatever. So, did a couple of courses that I'd always wanted to do. So I was like, well, hey, I've got time. I've got to go to work today. So, jumped on, did them, whatnot. That novelty wore off pretty quickly. And, I had...
sense of reality?
Yeah, a reality. And then B, holy shit, how much longer can I go like this?
Yeah.
So, it was then, right, okay, what's the fallback? Right, get into some routine. Start structuring stuff. And I've been fortunate. I've picked up a contract role, which, it's certainly not what I do. I'm very much outside of my comfort zone. But it's Monday to Friday and it's routine. And it's helped immensely from a mental health perspective.
So that purpose, that getting out of bed, I've got to get my ass out of bed and I've got somewhere to be and people rely upon me. That's one thing I'm hearing with men's mental health throughout the whole COVID situation is that lack of routine is just, not to mention the financial stress and the stress with their partner being at home all the time, maybe with the kids or without the kids, is really, really getting to them. And having that purpose and routine of the work structure, even if you don't like the job, that the reason for getting up and doing something is so important. And losing that, when it's taken away, you don't realise how good your shit job was.
Yeah, and I don't think you realise how much, I didn't realise how much I missed the routine until I was given that opportunity to go back into it. All right. And it was just that, and it's just something as simple as, on a weekday, I, would, and I do now again, I get up and I go for a run in the mornings before work. While I was stood down, the amount of running I did went like that. Yeah. Because in my head, I didn't need to run because I wasn't going to work. Yeah. So I didn't need to stick to that normal routine. So, I might once a week go for a run, but little things like that of just getting back into a basic life rhythm is probably the phrase I'd use. It's getting back into a good operating life rhythm.
Do you find if you don't do that for a period of time now that you mentally lapse?
Yeah, my wife's very good at just throwing my runners at me and going go. And so is my 10-year-old boy.
Is that a real trigger for you though? Like you obviously, is that a real trigger for you? Your behaviour, obviously, and now your amazing wife Jo, who's pretty in tune with you, clearly. The fact that she just goes, "Here's your runners, Tiger. You know what to do."
Yeah, and I'm certainly better at knowing myself as well. Right? It's I've got a lot more control in terms of what my triggers are and how to silence them, so to speak. So yeah, it is. It's a huge part of what I need to do to make sure that my headspace stays clear.
And how much does talking about it to other people? I know you do a lot of speaking. How much about talking about it helps you? I know you're doing it for other people, and it's so admirable and it's amazing. And the people that I speak to go, those who have been through it can understand how low and how shit you feel. But that obviously has an impact and obviously is good for you as well.
Yeah, look, it is 100%. It's you know, the fact it still blows me away that people actually want to listen to me. For one, and every audience that sort of, you know, either Luke or I, or when we're together, present to, you know, it's the same. It's like people want to listen to us. Great. The more I speak about what I've gone through, the things that I've learned, and the stuff that we're learning, and, you know, that ability to sort of impart that out to people, it certainly helps with what's going on inside my head, very much so. You know, I don't want to say it's not a sense of purpose, but it's just a sense of gratitude that I am in a position to be able to share.
I think the impact you had on me, mate, when you told me, and even now is huge. So those people who are having a really, really hard time, to be able to speak to someone like yourself must be so, it must be huge for them. The impact that you have on people would be amazing.
Yeah, it's not something that you really give a lot of thought to. As wanky as that sounds, you know, I don't give that a lot of thought.
But you want to help people at the same time, though. I know you want to help people.
Look, you do, but you don't go out. You know, I don't actually sit there and going, oh yeah, I reckon, you know,
yeah,
50 people have sort of, you know, walked away and gone, shit, yeah, I picked up some great stuff, right? If you go into that mentality, you're in the space for the wrong reasons, right?
Yeah.
You know, you absolutely, you hope that people are taking something away from what you're saying, but you know, you don't run a survey at the end of every session going, what did you learn? You know, did this make a difference? You just sort of you portray what you feel is the right thing to portray, and people will take from that what they will.
I think you'd be able to tell by the look on their face, mate, and the reaction to your story, and they would, in tune, give you a lot of information as well about them. Now, also, you are doing some amazing stuff with Right Mate, your foundation that you run with Luke, and you do the man walk on a Saturday. Talk me through that.
Man walk is bloody awesome. So I suppose a little bit of background on us. So Luke and I...
Look at your face. You lit up then.
Yeah.
When you said that, you absolutely lit up.
Yeah.
You are so proud of this, and so should be.
We are. Look, so Luke and I only met, I think, about a year ago. We got introduced by a mutual mate.
Yep.
And you know, Luke's got his story as well, which is certainly worth having a listen to. We sort of sat down and went, right, okay, we need to do something, right? We didn't know where it was going to go, but we just put our heads together and went, all right, let's see what we can come up with. Man walk was presented as a very easy way to get up and running. The man walk, for those that don't know, started in Kiama about a year ago by a bloke called Mark Burns, who was a physio. Just started changing his routine daily and started going for a walk. A few mates joined him. Another mate, one of his mates moved half hour up the coast, started doing one with himself. Another mate did the same thing. They started on, they went, hey, you know what, we're onto something. There's now over 73 or 74 of them here in Australia alone in less than a year, which is pretty phenomenal. So and here in Geelong, we started it July 18, we turned 1. So we're a few weeks off our first year as well. So we walk twice a week, Saturday mornings and Wednesday nights. It's a very simple concept, walk, talk, support. It's the same time at the same location every week, because that builds habit. And we know once habit builds, that then turns into routine, and that's a wonderful thing. It is a free weekly walk and catch up for blokes. The very first one we did, it was, I think from memory, like 4 degrees, raining sideways. Luke and I standing on the Geelong waterfront, absolutely drenched like rats, thinking, what the hell are we doing? And 10 blokes turned up.
Really?
So we sort of looked at each other and went, yeah, you know what, we're onto something. And every week in, week out for the past year, it amazes us. We have an amazing community of blokes. We're still getting new blokes joining us most weeks. And it's providing its social connection, right? so many men that we talk to tell us that they just don't know how to build social networks, or, you know, the thought of going into a building to meet guys is really daunting for them. So, you know, we're in the open air. It's a walk. Everybody walks. We grab a coffee. We have a chat. We don't solve, you know, the world's problems. The banter is phenomenal, especially on a Saturday morning. It gets pretty interesting. But the beauty of it is that if someone is dealing with something and they want to share, they can. It's a safe environment, and, you know, someone will put their hand up and sort of go, you know what, I'm going through this, and without doubt there'll be 2 or 3 other blokes who'll put their hand and go, hey, we've gone through something similar, so, you know, let's have a chat about it. And you see that spark in that person's eye go, oh, I'm not on my own. I don't have to do it on my own. Other blokes do understand, and I can talk to people. So yeah, no, mate, we are both every week absolutely blown away that you know, 12 months later, you know, we're still getting blokes turning up to this thing for a walk and a chat. It's amazing.
That's huge. I know we've done some of the events we've done where you guys have come to, say, 2 or 3 events, and you see them, and it's not until the third one where they go, yeah, I can get up and talk now. Like, I've seen how it runs. I need to stand back, see how it goes.
Yep.
No different to yours, mate. Oh, yeah, I'll go for a walk. I'll go for a walk on Wednesday and a Saturday, and a Wednesday and a Saturday. And then next Saturday, I'm going to open up because I now feel comfortable with these guys. And that's such an important thing that we keep getting in 100 words told to us. The fact that you've supplied a comfortable environment for men, they just open up.
Yep. Yeah, and that's really what we found, you know. Yeah. It's pretty awesome, that's for sure.
Now, Chris, we've got a couple of questions here. We'll lead off with this one, mate. This will make you feel good. I won't say who it's from. It says, look good for 46, bud.
Hey.
Jeez.
Look, it's the Mediterranean diet. What can I say?
I've also got another one here. Chris, do you think when you were going bad, it was the loss of your mate that might have tipped you over the edge? And do you think you would have got do you think you would have got that low anyway?
Oh.
That's a really good question.
Yeah, it is. Look, without doubt, that was a trigger at that point in time. Saying that though, even if I remove that from the scenario, I can look back at moments that probably tell me that 3-6 months later, I would have been in the exact same spot.
Yeah,
I think. So whilst I think what his suicide did was expedite it.
Did it sort of fuel a fire in you? Did it make you think more about how you were feeling?
I don't think I gave much thought to what I was feeling, to be honest with you, Terts.
Had you tapped out?
Yeah, I think it was just there was a lot of anger, and I think I was just done. If I'm completely honest.
This is really, really important, Chris. Knowing what you know now, what you've been through now, what the hell would you have said to Chris back then? Or what may have you done different now with the wisdom of what you've got now? I know it would be very, very hard to do, but is there anything you would say to yourself back then?
Speak up.
Yeah.
That's probably as simple as it is. I took it upon myself to isolate myself because I had convinced myself that nobody else was in any way, shape or form going to be able to understand what was going on and what I was feeling. And that there was no point in trying to explain to people, because it just would have made things even more frustrating. Because in my head, I thought the responses would have just been, "Oh, I'm sure it's not that bad, mate. You'll be right. You'll just suck it up," type scenario. Because that, growing up, was what was ingrained into me.
Yep.
Is
that what you were telling yourself? Were you telling yourself, "Hey, Chris, just suck it up"?
Yeah, pretty much, because I didn't know any different, right? I mentioned earlier, my first attempt was at 15, and my second one was at 23. Right. So, and it's all because that is what was ingrained into me. There's no point sharing, because sharing is a sign of weakness. And I didn't know any different. I do now. But back then it was, well, no, that's not how you deal with things.
But that's the message, though, isn't it? The message is simply communicate. So if you're the person going through it, you need to communicate with your mates. But if you're sitting there and you think what the one of your mates is struggling, it is bloody incumbent upon you to ask. And what we say the easiest way to ask is, and it's hard, but the way we structure it is, how's your day out of 10?
Yeah.
I think it's a really, really easy way to get information out of blokes.
Yep, it is. But I think what a lot of people are afraid of is, what happens if my mate turns around and says that they're not doing right, and they're thinking about this. What do I do with that information? And that's what prevents a lot of people, I think, from investing and asking that question. And it's a fair thing to sort of acknowledge and go, you know what, you're right. It's a big thing to get out there and ask, right? And that's where I think it's important for people to know that sometimes when someone's in that space, having someone actually genuinely ask them and be invested in them is the trigger they need to be able to then unload. And then all you need to do is provide a safe space to let them, right? You don't have to have an opinion. You don't have to have a golden answer for them. You don't have to say anything, right? But to give them a safe space for them to be able to unload and share everything that's going on inside them. Never underestimate how powerful that can be.
And I think that's the real beauty, mate, about what you guys do at Right Mate and what we do at 100 Words.
Yep.
Trying to create a really comfortable environment for men in which to communicate and talk openly and honestly. Yep. And when you can go to an event and see someone talk openly, honestly, or go to an event and talk to you, that would resonate with blokes, because blokes will go, shit, that's me. You are me, mate.
Yeah.
And I'm planning to do what you were bloody planning to do. So to be able to talk and see people, men being vulnerable, is such a powerful tool, and we need to do it more and more. It is, anyone who's listening or watching to this, if you think one of your mates is struggling, ask them. Ask them. Do not say nothing. Okay? Yeah. You're not going to have all the answers, but the fact that you ask them and take the time to listen, listening is a really, really important tool. Just sit and listen.
Yep.
Can quite often make the difference.
We've kind of got an unofficial motto at Right Mate, and it's, our mission is to make people comfortable with speaking about the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The more people that we can engage with, the more people we can get comfortable talking about mental health, right? The example we give a lot of, you walk into a room and you've got your leg in a cast and you're on crutches, 100 people will come up to you, right, and ask you, oh, what did you do? What can we do to help? What do you need, right? You walk into a room and say, I'm actually feeling, pretty depressed and life's pretty shit at the moment. People will inadvertently divert their eyes, their body language will go defend you, and they will come out with sayings like, oh, I'm sure you're all right, I'm sure you're just overreacting a little bit, right? There's no malice intended. It's just what's been driven into our society. So the more we can make people comfortable with having those uncomfortable conversations in a community setting, in a family setting, in a neighbourhood setting, in whatever setting, the more we then empower a community to be able to help itself. We've had here in Geelong in the past few weeks, we've had 5 teenage boys take their lives. 5. Right? And you look at each and every one of them, and there is no rhyme or logic as to why these kids should have done that. And we have a community screaming for answers down here. And one thing that's happening a lot is, you know, the relevant services are doing awesome work in terms of, you know, providing information and offering opportunities for people to speak. No one's asking the community what they want or what they feel they need. And I think part of it's because the community probably doesn't know, because they haven't been given the opportunity to think about that and express it. So we want to be able to provide spaces where we can do that, and understand what the community needs. You know, and it might be just something as simple as parents wanting to know how the fuck they have that conversation with their teenage kids.
Absolutely.
Right? Because I mean, I know as a parent, it scares me to death having to have that conversation with my son. Right? I'm fortunate in that I'm in a position where I know how to have that conversation, but many parents don't. And so, you know, they don't know how to have that chat with their kids. Right? And, you know, with community sport, you know, now all coming back, you know, there's associations and clubs that have got these amazing opportunities at the moment to really, you know, use their platform as an amazing vessel to teach not only their kids, but the parents that are involved with their clubs and their communities, some really basic tips, tricks, tools that they can use on a day-to-day, right? And help encourage that conversation and get that communication flowing.
Yeah. Mate, unbelievable. What you're doing down in Geelong is sensational, and the community down there will be so grateful to have you there, yourself and Luke doing amazing things. Chris, thank you so much for talking to us tonight and being so open and honest. Just listening. Anyone who's out there who's struggling, if you haven't listened to that and realised the first thing you need to do is communicate, I don't know what will make you do it. And if you think your mates are struggling, you've got to ask them. Chris is living proof. Thank God his beautiful wife Jo sat there and listened and asked. Because if she hadn't have, we wouldn't have just conducted this interview over the last 48 minutes.
I appreciate the opportunity. You guys are doing some bloody amazing work as well. And we are certainly very grateful to have you guys in this space as well. And you know, very much look forward to working with you guys.
Yeah, we'd love to, Chris. That'd be great. As
we move forward in this, right? Because we all want the same result.
Absolutely, mate. No competition. It's all about working together and trying to get. There's a common goal there, mate. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Chris, on behalf of myself, everyone in 100 Words, and particularly your good mate and my good mate, Mr. Matt Walton, mate, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time tonight.
Pleasure, Dirts. Thanks, mate.
You're a star. Thanks, buddy.
Cheers.
Oh, look, we couldn't stop there at half an hour. I just had to keep going. How honest Chris was. I mean, if it wasn't for Joe, he wouldn't be here. That's a simple message. Just ask. All she did was just continually ask and ask. So that was great. Thank you so much to Chris. Now, to all those who help us, say it every week, number one person who helps us the most here at 100 Words Mate to Mate is Shelley Wood from Splice Communications. Unbelievable amount of effort every week, amount of time and love that she puts in is amazing. Thank you, Shelley, so much. To Matt Atkin of the team of 61 Finance and Atlas Equipment Finance, do a hell of a lot for all of us here at 100 Words Mate to Mate. So thank you to Matt and the team, and to a dear friend, Mr. Brett Phillips, who runs the only tennis program in this country, the First Serve on SEN. Does a great amount for the community and does a great amount for us here at 100 Words. Now, remiss of me not to say over the last couple of weeks, anyone who's listening, ring someone tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. If listening to Chris does not make you ring someone tomorrow night at 8 o'clock who you know is struggling, nothing will. So do it. Just ring someone and ask them, how's your day out of 10? You'll be amazed at the response. On behalf of myself, all the team at 100 Words, all the board members, my dear friend Matt Walton, who produces this show. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Thanks a lot.